In the small town of Hollow Creek, there stood an abandoned house at the edge of the woods. Everyone knew about it, but no one dared to go near. The locals called it the House of Whispers, because, on quiet nights, you could hear strange, soft voices seeping from the cracks in the walls, as if the house itself was alive and murmuring secrets too dark to bear.
One autumn night, a group of teenagers decided to explore it. Jack, the ringleader, boasted that he'd spend an entire hour inside while the others waited outside. They bet him $50 he couldn't do it, and with a smirk, he accepted. Armed with only a flashlight and his phone, he stepped inside the rotting front door, which creaked like a dying breath. The house smelled of mildew and decay, the air thick with dampness. Dust swirled in the beam of his flashlight as he walked through the hallway, each step echoing on the warped floorboards. Shadows clung to the corners like forgotten memories, and the deeper he ventured, the more the whispers seemed to grow. At first, he thought it was just the wind slipping through broken windows, but soon, the voices grew clearer. "Help us," they seemed to sigh. "Come closer." Jack's bravado began to waver, but he forced himself to continue, mocking himself for being afraid of old legends. He entered a room at the end of the hallway, where the air was somehow colder. The room was empty, except for an antique mirror covered in a sheet. Curiosity getting the better of him, Jack pulled the sheet off. The mirror's glass was dark and stained, as though something had spilled behind the glass itself. He wiped the surface, but instead of his reflection, he saw a figure standing behind him, gaunt, hollow-eyed, with a mouth that seemed too wide, whispering words he couldn't understand. He spun around, but no one was there. He turned back to the mirror, heart pounding, and saw the figure's face again. Closer this time, its mouth moving faster, more desperately. He stumbled back, dropping his flashlight, and the room plunged into darkness. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, filling the room like a buzzing hive. Desperately, he fumbled for his flashlight, but before he could find it, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Cold fingers, too long and too thin, gripped him with inhuman strength. He froze, too terrified to scream, as a voice rasped in his ear, "Stay with us." His friends outside grew impatient after the hour passed. They called out for him, then entered the house when he didn't respond. They found his flashlight on the floor in front of the mirror, but no sign of Jack. His phone was there too, still recording. They played the video, hoping for a clue, and their blood ran cold. The screen showed Jack looking into the mirror, terror on his face. He mumbled something about seeing a figure, but the video caught nothing but darkness behind him. Suddenly, his expression twisted into agony, and he started to scream, but his voice was drowned out by whispers, hundreds of voices, all speaking at once. Then, just before the video cut out, his reflection changed. It wasn't Jack in the mirror anymore, but the gaunt figure they'd heard about in the old legends, its lips twisting into a grin as it whispered, "Now, there's room for one more." Jack was never found, and the townspeople still hear his voice among the whispers that drift out of the house on cold, quiet nights. Some say his spirit is trapped inside, and others claim that if you look into the mirror in that house for too long, you'll see the figure smiling back at you, and you'll never leave the house again.